I came out of the doctors, and there was a representative of Purdue. She said, we have a drug called OxyContin. We pick up all the costs. Just take as much as you need. I said, sounds like a deal.
Within the last 20 years, more than 500,000 Americans have been killed by overdoses. Controlled-release OxyContin would be the drug that triggered the opioid crisis. But what if we discovered that the crisis started with a crime?
When we talk about drugs like oxycodone, you're talking about drugs that are essentially heroin pills. Opioid makers started to promote their opioids for common chronic pain conditions.
Purdue didn't have any evidence that the drug was safe, so the company obtained the help of a medical officer at FDA.
This is the first time I've ever seen this. This isn't just unethical. I think this could be illegal.
Hundreds and hundreds of sales reps go out and meet with doctors and say, the FDA approved this.
Big Pharma celebrated its marketing muscle, using parties to lure doctors to write scripts.
This was a new drug cartel. There were drug dealers wearing suits and lab coats.
Basically, here's some money, write some scripts.
Yes, I'm looking at this and I'm going, clearly we're breaking the law.
Purdue ends up getting pursued by the authorities. The company lied under oath.
Ethics did not play a role.
The companies took out their checkbooks and paid to keep the evidence hidden.
You are basically telling pharmaceutical companies you have a green light to do this.
It explains how America got hooked on opioids.
Doctors willing to be paid to prescribe the drug, those are the people that are gonna get you promoted and eventually put you in prison.
The abuse exploded and spread like cancer.
When you're in that much pain and you're addicted to such a high dose, you're a trap rat.
When the companies didn't like that they were being held accountable, they decided to change the statute.
They should be changing their behaviors, not the rules.
People were dying by the tens of thousands, and their own representatives are basically selling them down the river.
If you talk to people whose lives have been touched, what does matter to a lot of these people is truth.
On the streets of the Motor City, this Beaumont Hospital physician is affectionately known as the healer.
They call me all sorts of things. And it was just, there was a reporter that was with me, and it's like, they get so excited every time a reporter comes and they're like, this is our healer. And so she ran with that. It was really humbling to hear that.
Dr. Asha Shahjahan earned her nickname early in the pandemic while treating homeless people at the Pope Francis Center in downtown Detroit.
We didn't really understand what was going on. And when everything's shut down, homeless people can't watch TV and the news and know what's going on. I went down there in my full PPE and just really asking people if they needed anything.
Dr. Asher is an award-winning health advocate. She believes that everyone deserves equal access to good health care, regardless of circumstance.
I did my undergrad in health administration and policy. And what I realized is that there was a lot of issues with the social determinants of health. So people not being able to get their medication, or people not having the right level of health literacy to understand the instructions of a physician, not having community physicians.
Dr. Asher's is a hands-on, people-first approach. A meeting with a pregnant teen about to quit school sharpened her focus.
She said, the way I walk to school, we call it Death Valley. People get hooted and hollered at. There's a lot of gang activity in the area. And I don't want my child to be subjected to that, like me walking to school as a pregnant person.
Dr. Asher intervened and helped get the girl back on track. But the experience was a revelation.
I will never forget that, because that made me realize how important social circumstances are, and how as physicians, we may assume people are either following or not following a treatment plan or taking care of their health for certain reasons, when the underlying root reason might be something completely different that we don't think of.
As an assistant professor at Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, Dr. Asher teaches her students to connect on a human level.
I want the physicians who are learning to become physicians to really understand what are the struggles that people go through, and from the lens of a human being, and not necessarily from that hierarchy of being a physician.
Dr. Asher is striving to create a partnership of trust between doctors and patients based on reliable information.
We saw with the pandemic what has happened when we have poor medical information. So I've been doing a lot of work around trying to dispel myths. I think it's our moral responsibility to educate the public and our patients, and we are the most trusted messengers per data. So we have to really be equipped to be able to battle misinformation. I love working with people, conversating with people, hearing their stories. And I think as a physician, you have the privilege of hearing the deepest, most personal stories of people, and you have the ability to make such a huge impact on people.
With a stroke of his pen, Governor J.B. Pritzker makes Illinois the 9th state to ban assault-style weapons. Pritzker signed the Protect Illinois Communities Act last night. It goes into effect immediately. The law makes it illegal to manufacture or sell dozens of rapid-fire rifles and pistols. Gun owners are allowed to keep the guns they already have, but they are required to register them with state police by the start of 2024. Gun manufacturers can continue to make assault weapons in Illinois, but they can only sell them to suppliers in other states. Locally, sheriffs from Ogle, Lee, Stevenson, and Winnebago counties say they won't comply with the law, calling it unconstitutional.
It's not the intent of law enforcement to make the law-abiding citizens criminals. They have a right to defend themselves. They have a right to possess and own firearms, and that's upheld in the Constitution. And as your constitutional sheriff, that's something that we plan to continue with.
Last night, Governor Pritzker addressed those who would choose not to enforce the law.
The fact is that, yes, there are, of course, people who are trying to politically grandstand, who want to make a name for themselves by claiming that they will not comply. But the reality is that the state police is responsible for enforcement, as are all law enforcement all across this state. And they will, in fact, do their job, or they won't be in their job.
The Illinois State Rifle Association has posted a statement online saying it plans to sue the state to get the law overturned.
One day, I want to swim in the Olympics.
The conflict in Syria has escalated out of control.
We need to go.
He says he can get us on a boat to Greece.
There's no more room in the boat.
swim.
What you both did in the scene.
She got in burst. She's the superhero. The Olympics feel so far away right now.
I believe you can do it.
We need to get to Germany. You're not allowed to give up.
I heard you both had to escape a war. We're forming an Olympic refugee team for Rio. We have a lot of work to do.
You should do it. You're so much more than an Olympian.
Ready?
Swim for me. For everyone who died trying to find a new life. Swim for all of us. We have a home. Swimming is home.
I think it's the first time that a thoroughly researched alternative view of prehistory has been presented on a major platform.
This theory is something you've been thinking about and talking about for decades.
Yeah, I've been involved in it for a very long time. My thesis is that we have lost an episode of our story. During the Ice Age, there was a civilization on planet Earth. There were survivors. They attempted to reboot, and we're seeing the evidence for that. I don't think we're seeing the origins of civilization at the end of the Ice Age. I think we're seeing a reboot of civilization that existed previously. Don't look for ourselves in the past. Look for something different from ourselves, but nevertheless was capable of doing things that archaeologists tell us nobody was capable of doing at that time. We need more questions, not less questions. We need more competing narratives, not less competing narratives. And that's why I'm very disappointed in archaeology, in the way it's reacted to this, and in journalism, in the way that it's just taken on board what the archaeologists say without asking any questions at all. It's like a black hole. You almost recognize it by its absence. There's something missing in the past, and there's loads of anomalies that come down to it that can only be explained by a forgotten episode in the human story. So I've made it my business to be an advocate of that position, to question the mainstream narrative and to offer an alternative narrative. And I don't insist that people believe me. I just want to add it to the mixture of information that people receive, so that there's not this monopolistic control of information on our past that archaeologists have undeservedly enjoyed for the last century or so.
We've all heard really scary things about psychedelics. They scrambled your chromosomes, they caused you to hop off of buildings. It was all terrifying. So I took a look at the true effects of these substances. I was very surprised at what I found. Mescaline, psilocybin, MDMA, LSD.
For a lot of people, this was the bad and evil drugs. But the opposite is true. There are really people who could benefit.
Can't wait to see what's going to happen.
What if mental health problems like OCD, PTSD, alcoholism, and depression could all be helped?
I'm a fairly conservative, sober scientist, but I've seen it work.
And this medicine here starts to help heal.
Some of my friends said, don't do it.
Psychedelic therapy has the potential to revolutionize mental health care.
They broaden the lens and you realize, oh my goodness, there's all of this. I didn't know.
It's like a light bulb has gone off.
My story is the same story as millions of veterans. Where my story becomes unique is I took MDMA 3 times. It saved my life.
I really did short-circuit this suicidal period that I was in.
It's not like magic bullet that everything's perfect.
But just think how much human suffering could be relieved. This is the tool for understanding the mind.
María Sabina fue una mujer que, ahora sí, le abrió puerta a todo el mundo.
This tension continues to grow.
If the drug war ends, what's the peace look like?
We're all striving to have good health and happiness.
This medicine helped me stand on my own 2 feet.
True science probes the very frontiers of human knowledge. And that's where psychedelic research is right now.
In 1970, the planet's 3.5 billion people were sustainable. But on this New Year's Day, the population is 8 billion. Today, wild plants and animals are running out of places to live. The scientists you're about to meet say the Earth is suffering a crisis of mass extinction on a scale unseen since the dinosaurs. We're going to show you a possible solution, but first, have a look at how humanity is already suffering from the vanishing wild. In Washington state, the Salish Sea helped feed the world. Commercial fisherman Dana Wilson supported a family on the Salish Sea's legendary wealth of salmon.
That used to be a buying station. They're gone now, they don't buy anymore. So that building over there used to buy salmon. They don't buy salmon anymore. It's just not here.
Today, 14 salmon populations are foundering. They've been crowded out of rivers by habitat destruction, warming, and pollution. A World Wildlife Fund study says that in the past 50 years, the abundance of global wildlife has collapsed 69%.
Too many people, too much consumption, and growth mania.
At the age of 90, biologist Paul Ehrlich may have lived long enough to see some of his dire prophecies come true. You seem to be saying that humanity is not sustainable.
No, humanity is not sustainable. To maintain our lifestyle, yours and mine, basically, for the entire planet, you'd need 5 more Earths. Humanity is very busily sitting on a limb that we're sawing off.
Today, humans have taken over 70% of the planet's land and 70% of the fresh water.
The rate of extinction is extraordinarily high now and getting higher all the time.
We know the rate of extinction is extraordinarily high because of a study of the fossil record by biologist Tony Barnofsky, Ehrlich's Stanford colleague.
The data are rock solid. I don't think you'll find a scientist that will say we're not in an extinction crisis.
Barnofsky's research suggests today's rate of extinction is up to 100 times faster than is typical in the nearly 4 billion year history of life.
There are 5 times in Earth's history where we had mass extinctions, and by mass extinctions I mean at least 75%, 3/4 of the known species disappearing from the face of the Earth. Now we're witnessing what a lot of people are calling the 6th mass extinction, where the same thing could happen on our watch.
The worst of the killing is in Latin America, where the World Wildlife Fund study says the abundance of wildlife has fallen 94% since 1970. But it was also in Latin America that we found the possibility of hope. Mexican ecologist Gerardo Ceballos is one of the world's leading scientists on extinction. He told us the only solution is to save the 1/3 of the Earth that remains wild. To prove it, he's running a 3,000 square mile experiment. In the Calakmul Biosphere Reserve near Guatemala, he is paying family farmers to stop cutting the forest.
We're going to pay each family a certain amount of money that is more than you will get cutting down the forest if you protect. The investment to protect what is left is, really small. To really make a big impact, we need to scale up this 10,000 times.
So what would the world have to do?
What we will have to do is to really understand that the climate change and species extinction is a threat to humanity, and then put all the machinery of society, political, economic, and social, towards finding solutions to the problems.
मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि हमारा जीवन भी आध्यात्मिक रास्ते में आगे बढ़े, अर्जुन कहता है भगवान से, कहता है प्रभु धरती में छेद करके, बाणों से छेद करके पानी प्राप्त करना आसान है, वायुमंडल की गठड़ी बांधना वो भी आसान है, पर इस मन को नियंत्रण में करना बड़ा कठिन है, दुष्कर है। भगवान कहते निसंदेह, इसमें संदेह नहीं, देयर इज नो डाउट, पर यह अभ्यास और वैराग्य से। आपने देखा होगा छोटे छोटे बच्चे नाच रहे थे, जब पैदा हुए तो चारों ये जो है घुटनों के बल चल रहे थे, पर अभ्यास करने के बाद आज वो मंच पर मंचन कर रहे हैं, देशभक्ति का गाना गा रहे हैं, सद्भावना के संदेश का प्रचार कर रहे हैं। तो ये अभ्यास से होता है। तो करत करत अभ्यास से जड़मत होत सुजान, रस्सी आवत जात पर सिल पर परत निशान। तो निश्चित रूप में अगर हम अभ्यास करेंगे, अभ्यास और वैराग्य दो बातें भगवान ने कही हैं। अभ्यास किसका करें? अगर ज्ञान ही नहीं है तो हम अभ्यास किसका करें? तो भगवान के वचनों को, भगवान की आज्ञा को मानने के लिए सबसे पहले हम किसका अभ्यास करें यह जानना होगा। एक बहुत बड़ा जहाज था, खराब हो गया, बड़े बड़े इंजीनियर आए, ठीक नहीं कर सके। तो जहाज के मालिकों ने कहा भाई एक अनुभवी इंजीनियर को लाओ। तो एक बूढ़ा अपना बैग लेकर के, उसमें सारा उसका सामान था, वो लेकर के बूढ़ा इंजीनियर आया। उसने देखा, इंजन को देखा, सारी चीजें देखी। देखने के बाद उसने अपने थैले से एक हथौड़ी निकाली और हथौड़ी निकाल मार करके 4-5 चोटें मारी। चोटें मारी तो इंजन झटका खा गया, चल पड़ा, स्टार्ट हो गया। स्टार्ट हो गया तो मालिक बड़े खुश हुए कि साहब आपने इंजन स्टार्ट कर दिया, हमारा जहाज चालू हो गया, भाई अपना बिल भेज देना। तो उस आदमी ने 2 लाख रुपए का बिल बना के भेज दिया। मालिकों ने कहा जी हम तो आपके सामने खड़े थे, देख रहे थे, आपने तो 3-4 हथौड़ियां मारी और 2 लाख रुपए का बिल बना दिया। आप कृपा कर करके आइटमाइज बिल बनाइए, आइटम वाइज बिल बनाइए। तो उस आदमी ने क्या किया, लिखा 2 रुपए की हथौड़ी मारी और 99,998 ये कहां मारनी थी, इसका 40 साल में मैंने अनुभव किया, ये उसके लिए है। तो भैया हथौड़ी तो मारना आसान है, पर कहां हथौड़ी मारनी है ये तो 40 साल के बाद ही पता चलेगा, है ना। तो ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है कि हथौड़ी कहां मारनी है। मन हम लगा लेंगे वो तो बात ठीक है, पर मन लगाना कहां है। शब्द बिना सुरती आंद्री कहो कहां को जाए, द्वार ना पावे शब्द का फिर भटका खाए। तो ये इंपॉर्टेंट है कि हम उस ज्ञान को जानेंगे तभी भक्ति शुरू होगी, तभी हमारा मोक्ष का मार्ग प्रशस्त होगा।
Our landfill really has a pretty short lifespan as these things go, about 10 years maybe before it's totally full. So we're just trying to be a better neighbor to the county And we're trying to be better green stewards of Yosemite. I know we can do better. With better public education, better employee education, and better infrastructure, we should be able to increase the amount of material that we divert from the landfill substantially. So there are several things that visitors can do to help. The first is, if you have the opportunity, prepare before you come. Get rid of excess packaging. You don't need to bring that trash to the park. You can leave that at home. Use refillable containers. If you're bringing snacks or you're going to get coffee, bring a travel mug. Use a refillable water bottle. We see a lot of that kind of stuff in our trash. It doesn't just end up in our recycling. A lot of it ends up in our trash. So a third thing that visitors can do is use stoves and lanterns that either operate by a battery, in the case of lanterns, or for their stoves, a refillable fuel source. When you're in the park, do your best to recycle everything that you bring that's recyclable. Take a second and wait. Make sure you put your stuff in the right container, and you're going to be a big contributor to reducing the amount of waste that Yosemite sends to the landfill.
Listen, I just urge everyone to watch the movie. It is what it is. He did what he did, and make your own mind up. It was pretty clear to us.
Sacha Baron Cohen is opening up about the scene from his new movie that might have political implications.
Sasha, Maria, thank you for being with us. And everyone is talking specifically about a scene.
The movie, Borat's subsequent movie film, a sequel to his 2006 box office hit and cultural phenomenon.
Nice to meet you. I'm in town.
And the scene, a moment following an interview with Rudy Giuliani, former New York City mayor and personal attorney to President Trump.
You are one of my greatest heroes.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Sasha and his co-star Maria Bakalova stopped by Good Morning America on Friday, where they discussed the much-talked-about moment. In the movie, Maria plays Borat's 15-year-old daughter, who at one point poses as a journalist and interviews Giuliani inside a hotel room.
I feel like I'm living in a fairy tale.
Sure. You're going to do great. Okay?
Following the interview, Giuliani appears to put his hand down his pants while lying on a bed.
We'd built a hideaway that I was hiding in during the entire scene. So I was monitoring it by text, but, you know, it's my responsibility as a producer as well to ensure that the lead actor is looked after.
Maria took a moment in the GMA interview to thank Sasha for making her feel safe while filming.
I want to thank you that I was sure that you're going to save me for everything. I've always felt safe with our team, with our crew, with Sasha in my corner. I actually never felt that I've been in danger.
After word about the scene got out, Giuliani quickly fired back on Twitter. In a series of tweets on Wednesday, he called it a complete fabrication and describes his actions in the video, saying, quote, "I was tucking in my shirt after taking off the recording equipment." As to whether Sasha believes Giuliani was inappropriate, the actor encouraged audiences to decide for themselves.
I would say that if the president's lawyer found what he did there appropriate behavior, then heaven knows what he's done with other female journalists in hotel rooms. And I just urge everyone to watch the movie. It is what it is. He did what he did, and make your own mind up. It was pretty clear to us.
One person who made up their mind is Patricia Arquette. The Oscar winner commented on Giuliani's series of tweets, "Lying down, I have never removed a wire by lying down. Never."
I'm here to defend America's mayor, Rudolph Giuliani.
Cohen's personal feelings about the footage came a day after his Borat persona defended Giuliani on Twitter.
What was an innocent, sexy time encounter between a consenting man and my 15-year-old daughter have been turned into something disgusting by fake news media.